What up, YouTube? My name is Rich.
I'm Lorna.
Name of the channel is Rich the Return Writer. For all you folks that's here for the first time, thanks for tuning in. For all you folks that's return viewers, I appreciate you coming back. For all that subscribe to the channel, guys, appreciate the support. For you folks that haven't yet subscribed, guys, it takes nothing off you to hit that subscribe button. So today, coming to you, no throttle therapy, guys. Actually haven't had throttle therapy now in about a month. But coming to you today from the garage in Lake City, Florida here. And doing a video here, guys, that not quite fun to make, but both Lorna and I thought it was an important video. The last video that I did was on the Shark Road exhaust. Didn't have much time to enjoy those, folks. And as you're seeing that title there, it is not clickbait. Real deal, guys. And we're going to talk a little bit about it, and we're going to talk about how this incident with me might impact you as a motorcycle rider. Now, for the last decade or so, I've been dealing with some prostate issues, along with elevated PSAs and so forth. Finally decided to have something done about it. And out of that came some good and some not so good. The good thing is, guys, my biopsy for the PSAs and so forth came back negative. Thank God. But on my recovery after the procedure, didn't go as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that now. I've been home after the procedure, doing well for about 2 or 3 days before I started to have a little bit of issues here. And we're going to talk about it, guys, and again, how it relates to motorcycle riding. But started having some discomfort, I'm going to call it, in my left calf area on like the 3rd day being home from the procedure. And for the first time in years, guys, I've been relaxing. My feet has been up. I've been watching movies and TV and, you know, having a good time. Well, not so much, but on the 3rd day or so, guys, I went to the bathroom, and on my way from the bathroom, I started feeling a little lightheaded, started passing out, was conscious enough to make a call out for Lorna that was in the other room and said to her, I think I'm having PEs, and I passed out.
So what is a PE?
Well, a PE, guys, is it could be 2 things. It could be a pleural effusion. In my case, it was a pulmonary embolism. And guys, this is a life-threatening situation. What I had, as I was having issues, or we believe I was having issues in my calves, and I started to massage it, thought I might have something called a DVT that was in the leg area. And again, that is deep vein thrombosis. And again, not being mobile and being in certain positions is something that can trigger that. We're going to talk about things to help prevent that and something maybe not to do as the video goes on. But as I was passing out and I called out to Lorna, thank God for the quick response of Lorna, my daughter Janelle, and my grandson, we were able to get me to the hospital in a timely manner. Now, waiting for the ambulance, guys, in this region is definitely not a good option. So, got to the hospital, and of course, my suspicions was actually not having a pulmonary embolism, but having multiple PEs in the lung area.
Very large.
Very large ones. For you folks that go fishing, we can almost relate that to being like little earthworms. For you folks out there that are riding motorcycles, cars, or whatever, almost like plugs that you would put into your tire. But what I'm going to mention about that also, folks, is that time is relevant. We say in the healthcare industry, time is tissue.
What is tissue?
Now, for folks out there that might be having pulmonary embolism, in my case, strokes, or maybe even heart attacks, the longer they take to care for you, the more likely you are to have the death of tissue, whether it is in the heart, whether it's a stroke, whether it's in the brain, or in my case, whether it's in the lungs. Now, we were at the hospital. They sent me to something called a CT. Again, I was diagnosed quickly and sent to another facility. Now, at this facility, they did an awesome job of actually going in, doing something called a thrombectomy, where they were able to go through the groins, go through the heart, and go into the lungs and remove these large plugs. these life-threatening plugs. And how I'm going to relate that, guys, to motorcycle riding is I was watching Dr. Oz show years ago, and he was talking about folks traveling on planes for long periods of time, sitting in a certain position. Also for folks that are traveling in cars, long journeys. And I also watched a podcast recently that got very little views with a doctor and motorcycle riders talking about how to prevent these DVTs and the relationship to riding long journeys on motorcycles in a certain position and possibly having some clotting in your legs from not being mobile. Now, it's interesting, guys, when the Goldwing came out with the 5.5 gallon tank, there were so many comments in the comment section. I always say the comment section is where the magic happens. There was so much comments about folks that talking about not being able to ride long enough on a 5.5 gallon tank. But one of the things that the doctor suggested in this video was when you're stopping at your stop areas to refuel and so forth, to get off the motorcycle, guys, and move around, walk. I see folks getting off of the bikes and doing push-ups and so forth. But the interesting thing is these clots don't seem to happen much in the arm areas because your arms are always moving. But in the legs, where we are in these stagnant positions, whether, again, you're on planes, how many trains, buses, any long distance, guys, you know, it is relevant and important that we get off and we move. While you're on the motorcycle, it's probably recommended that you move your legs out around a little and so forth. But guys, if not for Lorna and my daughter and my grandson being home, I probably wouldn't be here today.
But also, as you being a respiratory therapist, if it was not for you saying a PE, because a lot of times the doctor is taking their time trying to figure out what's going on. And for Richard to tell me it's a PE, I was able to translate that to the doctors to say, y'all need to do a CAT scan, he is having a PE.
Interested information, folks. One of the things that I'm going to suggest is when you go to your providers, your caretakers, give them some history. Now, I did make them aware that I just had surgery, which we think was the main factor of me having, again, these PEs, the clotting. I spent a week in the hospital getting transfusion, losing lots of blood, and coming really close, guys, to not being with you here today, not having any more days of throttle therapy. But I thought it was relevant, and again, that folks, when you go to the hospital, let your provider know what is going on with you. Me being a respiratory therapist, I see this condition on many occasions. Folks come in, they can't catch their breath. We don't know what's going on with them. They might have had a surgery previously. There's some clotting going on. That clot goes to the lungs. It goes to the heart, or it can go to the brain. It was interesting, as they were doing the thrombectomy, this awesome staff that was there explained to me, if they can get to this stuff in a timely manner, they can actually relieve these clots. And if it's caught in a certain period of time, there's minimal or no damage that can be done. For folks that's traveling out there on these long journeys on motorcycles by themselves, and we're in these isolated and remote locations, it's important that we let people know if they're coming to assist us in any way, any conditions that we might have. As I was watching that podcast, they talk about age being a factor. As I look at my YouTube studio algorithm, I can see that the age of the people watching my videos are usually in the 50s to 60-year-olds. I see folks in the 70s and 80s riding all over the place. I ask myself how many people have had heart attacks, PEs, DVTs, strokes. And, you know, a lot of times when a motorcycle accident happened, the first thing they say is, they're on a motorcycle, they crash. But there's a lot of factors that might have went into why we crash. Now, you guys know I'm a recreation rider. I don't ride long distances and so forth. But I do spend hours on end on the motorcycle many days, up to 5-6 hours sometimes. But I'm stopping, I'm getting off. So that wasn't very likely to happen, probably without the surgery. But I want you folks out there to think about it as you're traveling. You know, move your legs around. You know, with the Royal Motard drop guards here, guys, there's many different places that I put my foot when I'm on the bike. I go from my highway pegs to resting my foot on top of the bike, and also to the standard position. Move around on these motorcycles, folks. The other thing is, man, staying hydrated.
Yes.
I have had an incident years ago that was mimicking a heart attack, and all it was dehydration. So stay hydrated, guys. Stay mobile on these motorcycles. Thank God I'm here today.
Yes.
You know, thanks to the family being there.
And
Lorna to the rescue again.
be aware of your health.
Be aware of your health. They said CHF, obesity. I got to tell you guys, I have never felt less active than the day I started riding a motorcycle. I'm usually on my bicycle many days, but now when I jump on Ruby, guys, you know, time to get back in the gym. Be aware of your health. These incidents that happen out there, and they're happening undiagnosed. So anyway, anything else you want to add, Lorna?
Thank God. It's but God. That's all I can say.
Somebody's looking after me, guys. There's a lot more to come on Rich the Return Rider. That's why I'm still here. But you guys know what I'm always going to say. I've been off the bike now for about a month. Probably got a couple of more days or so before I get back on the bike. Maybe
2 more weeks.
No, maybe another couple of days before I head back into a parking lot. You know what I always say on this video, guys, on the end of my videos. I don't care what you ride. Add some protection to your motorcycle. Get in the parking lot. The experts claim the one thing that helps keep us safe out there on the streets is emergency braking and swerving. If nothing else, get into a parking lot and practice the slow speed maneuvers. Anyway, folks, happy to be here.
And move.
And move.
Those legs.
Move those legs, man. Stay active. Be careful. Stay hydrated. At the end of the day, it's better that you drop your bike on the concourse or in the parking lot than to crash them out there on the streets. Rich?
And Lorna,
Out.